Hi, hello there. I'm Steve, the AI Teacher Guy. Thank you so much for joining my channel, where we teach teachers how to save time and build better resources by leveraging AI. Now today, my leading question for you: if you were to try and play Mario Kart, would you just use the Nintendo 64 console, or would you have to plug the cartridge into it first? That is exactly the same thing that happens by building a profile first before you write any of your prompts. So by writing a really good profile, saves you hours of time and also builds way better context when you're going to get your responses back. So let's jump on in and have a look at what I mean by that. So to start, just so that you've seen it, what I usually do is I have a profile list, and then these are all the different prompts that I've used inside my book, Teacher Prompt Secrets. So this is the very first prompt that you'll find in here, which is called the Subject Master Profile. And inside that, I'm going to show you exactly how to build that from scratch, which should be a lot of fun and hopefully get you better responses in your profiles, in your prompts. So here we go. The very first thing is you always want to write out the structure that you're going to do. So we're going to have the context first, then you're going to have the action. And then I'm going to use a bit of programming skills here and going to have a personality wrapped in curly brackets, and then traits also wrapped in curly brackets. And we'll come back to those a bit later on. So the context is, what is the persona that this subject master is going to take on? Now, I personally teach computer science and mathematics, so I always align that with my profile. So to start, instead of saying act, I like using imagine. I found with the engine, it gives it a lot more flexibility and adapts a bit more to what needs to be outputted. So imagine you are an expert computer science and mathematics teacher with a PhD. Now, by saying that as a PhD, it means it comes from a position of authority. And like we've talked about before, there's terabytes of data that Chat GPT has been trained on. So by doing this, it narrows down where it needs to focus on. So imagine, there needs to be an R there. Then, to give it even more context, you have 20 years of experience teaching high school students and know the best methods to improve student outcomes and engage them more. Now, by doing that, again, we're wrapping up more context. So when it's thinking about its responses, it's going to consider that a lot more with the output that you're going to get back. Then you are based in Australia and will write your responses using UK English and not USA English. Pretty obvious what happens there. For the entirety of our conversation, you will adhere to our specific prompt structure using important variables referenced in capital letters. Cool. So this is the structure that I worked out that makes the output significantly better. And this is what we're talking about down here with the personalities and traits. So when you see words written all in capital letters, it is considered important and followed by essential information within curly brackets after an equal sign. Awesome. So that's the context of this prompt. And then this is going to be carrying on with all the other questions when we're going to try and build lesson plans, PowerPoints, all those different things. By having this here first, it's going to make the process infinitely better. Right, the next action. So your task is to write teaching resources for your subject domain area. Now, the reason why I said subject domain area is that makes this prompt a little bit more flexible. So if you're picking this up, all you need to do really is just change computer science and mathematics to your area. So if you teach business studies, you just write business studies there. Then you must draw upon your expertise to help write the most engaging resources. The curly brackets below describe your personality and traits. And this is where the difference is. So your personality represents your core values and will strongly influence what you write. Whereas your traits are subtle, but still influence your writing style. So this is the idea. Your personality is the core values, whereas the traits are subtle influences in the way that the response comes. Now, this is revolutionary. A lot of people aren't doing this. By doing this extra bit of adding personality and traits to your response, I found that the response has been amazing, and you can see it in the output for the different teaching resources that I've built. Right, so here comes the personality. So your personality, your responses should be positive, polite, empathetic, interesting, entertaining, and engaging. So those are the core values. The logic and reasoning of the responses will be rigorous, robust, and intelligent. You have a deep understanding of multiple programming languages, including Python. Now, this is for me as a computer scientist. That's the personality, and that's the way that the person should be responding to most of the stuff. Because in New South Wales, we use Python as our main programming language down here in Australia. Now, the traits, I was going to type all these out, but just to save time, I'm just going to do a copy paste job. But I'm going to do the first one with you just so you see how it works. So I'm going to go knowledge, a bool, and then, Then what happens here is you describe roughly what knowledgeable is. So you put a colon and then describe it. They have a deep understanding of the subject. Add on. Full stop. Now the full stop shows the end of each one, and then basically you put in all these little subtle traits that you want this teacher response to be. Now the idea here is, instead of having to have that as the core values, these are the subtle things that will influence the way that the prompts will respond. Right, now the last bit. Now this is the $1 million treasure that you'll find in this whole video. This changed the whole way that my prompts came out. There was a paper written by OpenAI talking about getting it to write it's a step-by-step thought patterns. And like we talked about before, the 3 ways that control the output is the model, the input that you've typed, and then also the output that's come out so far. So by getting to output and summarize what its understanding is, significantly improves the responses that you'll get in the future. So what I do is I go, please show step by step how you will execute all instructions in the following conversation and summarize your understanding after each interaction. Right, now here's the really cool one I found. No yapping. Now that stops a lot of the excess conversation that comes out and makes a whole heap more robust in the way that it responds. So let's show how this works. So I just copied it. I'm going to go here, paste, and bam. Now that is loading the cartridge in. So that's going to build a persona for this to take the conversation to take on. And whenever it responds, it's going to use that information that's come through. Cool. So it's taken on really in depth here. It's understanding that's a full Python coder. And yeah, basically it's taken that persona on, and then all the responses it's going to go on forever is basically doing that. So that's pretty much it from me. Hopefully that's helped give you some ideas of what a profile looks like. That is super important. It's the very first prompt inside of Teacher Prompt Secrets. By doing that, you will find the responses that you get will go outside whatever you thought was possible before. So later down the track, we're going to do lesson plans, Kahoot quizzes, PowerPoints, all those different things. By having that prompt at the beginning, is going to improve the output that you'll get down the track. If you have enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe down below, as it does help with that YouTube algorithm. And every Friday at the end of the month, I will be doing a live stream. So I'll be opening it up for anyone to jump on and have any questions to see what they want me to have an attack at and see what's possible for teaching resources that we can build. So that's it for me. Thank you again. See you next time. Adios.